Hello beautiful creative friends, it's Belinda. Today's video is another layout flip through. This one filmed in August 2023. A year in which I had wrestled with yet more creative fatigue and was still chasing expectations that I hadn't yet realised weren't really mine. I'd just joined yet another design team, convinced that structure and deadlines were what I needed to reignite that creative spark. Spoiler alert, it was not. In truth, I needed rest, space, and permission to create for no other reason than I just wanted to. I honestly don't know why I didn't share this video back when I created it. It probably fell prey to the out of sight, out of mind aspect of my brain. But I'm sharing it now as the final part of my Creative Shift series, as a gentle reminder that your creativity... Oh yeah, that happened. That's a bleep. Because in true messy middle fashion, I absolutely botched the intro right at the end by saying something I probably shouldn't leave in the final cut. So if you caught the original upload, congratulations, you got the unfiltered version. But since this is the final video in my Creative Shift series, I still want to finish that thought. So here goes. I'm sharing this as a gentle reminder that your creativity doesn't have to be polished, perfect, or even consistent to be meaningful. Sometimes the mess is the message. So let's dive in. Hello, beautiful creative friends. It's Belinda, and today I'm here to share with you a flip through of the layouts that I have made so far this year. It hasn't been my most productive year in terms of scrapbooking and memory keeping. I've had a lot going on in my personal life between my studies and home life, and my creative mojo has sort of ebbed and flowed throughout the year. Some of these will have process videos. Lots of them won't. I've just been enjoying sitting down and just creating for the sake of creating, but of course they're all here, so I would love to share them with you today. I will try to remember which of these have process videos and just let you know there so that you can go searching for them. Hopefully I don't get any of these wrong. So to start off with, I know that this one at the top here definitely does have a process video. This one was from earlier in the year. This is documenting a night out that my husband and I had for my birthday at the start of this year. One thing I am kind of proud of with this little stack is that I made a real effort at the start of the year to print out the photos that I had taken in January that I wanted to document and to sit down and work through creating layouts for all of those. So all of my January documenting for this year is done. Of course, there is a huge ton of documenting for other months and other years that is not done, but I like the feeling of knowing that at least 1 month has been completed. So that's what this layout is. I believe I created this in response to one of Dearly Dee's monthly Patreon challenges, and I used a Rosie's Studio collection for this one. So it's got all my favorite things. It's got lots of lovely layering. It's got a little bit of mixed media, some nice textural elements with the twine and the thread, and a really pretty layout. There is also a process video for this one. This is using a Uniquely Creative collection. Again, photos taken in January this year. This was from my birthday celebrations at home with my family. Quite simple, just used a cut file, 3 photos in a strip, but I created it was almost like an elongated tag along there, just with mixed pieces of patterned paper. And again, a little bit of mixed media in the background, but something that's quite subtle. There won't be a process video for this one. One of the things that I have been thinking about more recently is how to fit more into my scrapbooking albums, and I have come up with the solution that I need to be pairing the 12 by 12 traditional layouts, which I love to create, with some more, I suppose, functional style documenting using pocket pages. So this is one example of that. I created this, so this spread is all from one event. It's when I took my kids to a fringe festival show one day during the school holidays. So I picked a couple of the feature photos and created a traditional layout using, this is one of the Cocoa Vanilla collections, one of their really bright summery collections, as you can see. So I created the layout, and then because I had a lot of extra photos and a lot of extra story that I wanted to tell, I have created a pocket page spread for that too. And this is just using a Design A page protector because I have loads and loads and loads of them, and they're really easy to use. I can stack photos stack 3x4 photos onto a 6x4 piece of paper or card, and then make use of those 4x6 pockets. So that's one side, and this is going to go into my family album. And then, because thinking ahead, I don't like having blank spaces in my album. Like I said, I'm all about maximizing my space. So flipping over, and the same thing again, this is just documenting the story of celebrating my birthday earlier this year. I turned 42. So this is the 12x12 layout, a little selfie that I snapped when I was about to go out and celebrate with some friends. And then some more photos and some journaling about how I actually celebrated. This year it was a nice weekend celebration for me. I don't often get to do that for my birthday, but this was a good one, so worth documenting. And the collection that I've used here is Hip Kit. It's a Hip Kit collection. I can't recall off the top of my head what month it is, but I will find out and leave it in the description box below. Something else I did is I pulled out one of the Hip Kits. I have been subscribing to them for a little while, and I definitely haven't been making use of the kits. So I pulled one of the kits out, put it into a little organizer on my desk, and printed off a whole bunch of photos and got some cut files made, and then sat down and really worked on killing that kit as much as I possibly could. And that's what you're going to see over the next few layouts. So this one here, using the same collection, this is a photo from earlier this year. My daughter lost 4 of her first 4 teeth in very close succession. In fact, 3 of them were lost within 4 days of each other. And yeah, she was just so proud of herself, and it's definitely a rite of passage, that little toothless smile that comes when kids lose their front teeth. So this is using the Hip Kit Club, and I also got out some of my dies, my metal dies, some tropical themed foliage and flowers, and then I used some distress oxides to colour them before I punched them out, and I used colours that coordinated with the products that I was using on this page. Another one from that same Hip Kit Club. I love grid designs, and I just had this idea pop in my head. I've got these stitched border tags, and I thought, well, hey, what if I make a grid using the stitched border tags? I knew with this particular set of photos that I wanted to document that I had 2 which were in a landscape orientation and 2 which were in a portrait orientation. So I thought that was quite a fun way to work with a grid a little bit differently. The titles I die cut using one of my alphabet dies. I used pattern paper, and then I die cut it a few more times from just a white cardstock. So if you can see there's a little bit of dimension to those where it's layered up. Yeah, really soft. I picked out all of the pastel colors from this kit to use on this page, and I love looking through these layouts that I've made using the same kit. I love seeing how the aesthetic can differ just by choosing different products from the same collection or the same kit. This is another one from that same Hip Kit. So there was a patterned paper that it was white with all of these different colored prints that sort of had a foliage silhouette on them, and I cut them down into strips. And then I thought, I have made layouts like this before with this particular design aesthetic before, and I thought it would be fun to try it again. So I cut a few different types of paper, a few other pattern papers as well, just to break up between those ones. And this kit also came with a bunch of fringed pieces, so there was some different
pattern and textured fringe pieces, and I thought it would be fun to include those as well. So a really fun design, really simple to put together, but I absolutely love it. These photos are from 2019, so I'm trying to work back and dig through older photos that I want to document and get those down onto pages as well. Another one from the hip kit, and I believe this cut file was from them for the same month. Now that I'm thinking about it, this kit may have been from August 2022. So this is an 8.5 by 11. I had this photo of my daughter. I am trying to change up the sizing of my pages a little bit. I don't necessarily need to have a full 12 by 12 for every single story. So because this was just a simple little photo, and I didn't have any specific journaling to go along with it. When I find myself in that scenario, that's where I jump online and I have a look at some different quotes that I've saved. When I see some really meaningful quotes or quotes that I like, I save them and then I go back and I use them. Sometimes I will add them exactly as the quote is written. Other times I will change it just a little bit and personalize it a little bit more. So that's what I did with this one. This was a quote that I had saved and I've just changed it a little bit, and then that serves as the journaling for that page there. Now, this is what I mean when I say, you can, the same collection or the same kit and just a really different aesthetic. So this one here is also from the same hip kit, but you can see that I've chosen more of the cooler tones, the blues, the greens for this one. This was, this cut file, I believe, is from... the name escapes me right now, but I will think of it. They had a subscription which I subscribed for a couple of months at the start of the year just to see what the cut files were like. And again, I was loving the tags. I went for these tags. These ones I actually cut myself and I've stitched a border around each of them. You can see I've got just a little bit of subtle mixed media in the background there. And then I thought it would be fun to make it look like the tags were actually hanging down from the top of the page. So to do that, I placed them in positions that I wanted them to be. I ran the twine through, and then I just added some staples up the top to secure them up the top. So a really fun, simple design. This is just documenting a story of a very rare occasion during our summer school holidays where my kids were playing really nicely together. It was very sweet and quite unusual for where they are at the moment. This is another one using the hip kit, and I'm pretty sure there is a process video for this one. This acrylic piece here is from Bramble Fox. Again, I subscribed to their Fox box for a while, so I've got a nice little stash of their acrylic pieces that I need to try to remember to pull out and put on my pages. This is a really classic for my sort of style of documenting and scrapbooking now. It's quite clean. It looks fairly simple, but there is loads of layering and loads of subtle texture that's put in there that just keeps it looking visually interesting. So I've got a mixed media wash in the background, I've got some splatters, I've got some texture paste, I've got some torn edges, I've got some twine, some stitching, some Nuvo drops. So it looks quite clean and it looks quite simple, but it's kept visually interesting just by the amount of subtle layering and textures that are included there. I think this might, no, not quite the last. This is the second last layout that I created from that same hip kit. So I have a little folder stashed away where a little while ago I sat down and I cut out a whole bunch of cut files onto some white cardstock and then popped them into a folder, with the intention being that at some point I could sit down, flick through, grab out a cut file, and then I've got a ready-made base to go for creating a layout. This is what that one was. I have absolutely no idea where this cut file came from, but if you are interested in finding out, just leave me a comment and I will find it and let you know. But you can see it's quite geometric, and what I've done is I've just randomly backed all of the pinstriped ones, it's very subtle, so you're probably not going to see it on camera, but all of the little stripy triangles I've backed with just a plain vellum, and then I've just randomly backed some of the other triangles with pattern papers that I chose from the kit. These photos were from early last year, just documenting my son. He loves a good dress up, and there was a period of about a week there last year where every morning he was coming in and waking me up and just sort of standing next to my bed to show whatever incredible creation of costuming he'd put on for that day. So I took photos of all of them, and that's what I'm documenting here. This is the puffy alphas that came with the collection, and yeah, just really perfect size for including on this layout. Embellishing is kept quite simple here because the background is really dynamic. I didn't need to do a lot of embellishing for that layout. And this here is the last layout that I created with that same hip kit. I do still have quite a bit left of that particular kit, but what is left is stuff that I'm not really likely to use for the kind of stories that I know that I'm documenting. So that will be given away to someone at some point. I've definitely made as much use of it as I needed to. So this is another 8.5 by 11. As I said, I'm trying to vary things and recognize that I don't need 12 by 12s for all of my stories. So because I loved the way that background of the stripped pieces worked on the layout that I showed you just a minute ago, I have done the same thing here, just using some different patterned papers and a different color scheme. This is another one of the border pieces that came in the kit. Again, lots of layering here. So what you probably can't see it all on camera, but I have got patterned paper, I've got white cardstock, I've got vellum. I've actually got two different types of vellum there. One is just a plain vellum and one is a black and white, not a vellum, a tissue paper. There's some tulle and there's a doily, so lots and lots of layers there. Oh, and there's even more. There's a glassine bag under there as well. So subtle, adds lots of visual interest, doesn't add a lot of bulk doing that. The title here, this is a stamp and die set that I have, which I believe is an Altenew stamp and die set. And these tile alphas are from the stamp market. And then because I wanted to include some journaling here, but I didn't necessarily want it to be visible, and also there's no space on the layout, I've just put that onto a tag and then tucked that into the glassine bag that's sitting there behind the photo. And a nice big piece of soft ribbon to pop around that tag, again, just for some more texture and visual interest there. Okay, the sun was playing hide and seek with me, so I just paused for a minute to turn my filming lights on so that we've got a bit better lighting. Now, these next few layouts were all created using the same collection from Coco Vanilla Studio. I believe it was called Bohemian Dreams. I didn't have a huge amount of this collection, but I had enough to make a few layouts. I think I've made 1 or 2 layouts from it in the past, but I just wanted to use up as much of it as I possibly could so that I could move it along and make some more space in my tiny little craft room for new supplies. So this one here, I don't believe there is a process video for this one, but this was created definitely in response to one of Dealy D's monthly Patreon challenges. I have found those challenges to be so helpful for me, particularly this year where my creative mojo, as I said in the beginning, has sort of ebbed and flowed quite a bit. So those challenges, monthly challenges that she shares in her Patreon group, have been so good at motivating me to sit down and create. And so this was one of them. I used some circles. I believe this might have been a recipe challenge that I was responding to. So really circle heavy. I've got some circles sort of cascading down the page, some sequin shakers using some tulle. A couple of the circles I have embossed, dry embossed, using a 3D embossing folder, which is from Sizzix, and then some layered star pieces here. And you're probably not going to see that very well on camera, but there is some tulle on each of those layered hearts, not stars. Very old photo here. I think I've made a companion page for this previously, and then I still had these 2 photos printed out, so I finally sat down and documented those. This is another one using the same Cocoa Vanilla collection. Again, a couple of photos of my daughter. This was after she had put on some makeup. This was quite a number of years ago now. She got a little kids makeup kit for Christmas, and just her application, just so unique. I would love to know how or where she's seen this sort of monobrow look, but she loved it. She loved herself sick in it. So of course it had to be documented. These title pieces, the Bohemian Dreams collection, if it is the Bohemian Dreams collection that I'm thinking of, there was a whole 6x12 sheet of these large white chipboard words. And I wanted to try and use as many of those as I could. And I think I did. I think I only ended up with like one, maybe two words left on the sheet by the time I was finished. But I have altered them. For this one, I've painted them in a paint that coordinates with the products from the collection. And again, lots of layering here. I've got some gauze layered behind these. I've got lots of gauze in my stash and I forget to use it. I use tissue paper so often, but that gauze, it's nice for something different. There is also a little bit of a light watercolor mixed media wash on the background. And if I get it up close, you can hopefully see that there is some light texture paste through a stencil on there as well. Oh, I thought I had more with that Cocoa Vanilla collection, but obviously not, just those two. I think, oh no, here's another one. There we go. There's another one with that same Cocoa Vanilla collection. This photo you might recognize, it's the one that I use in my profile. It is quite old now, but I've never actually documented it. And it's a photo that I really, really love. It was a time in my life that I was feeling really good, really positive, and it was January 2020. So if you remember what 2020 was all about, I was feeling good, having no idea what turmoil life was about to throw all of our ways with COVID. Also on this page, new to me, I purchased secondhand recently a hot foiling system. And one of the first purchases that I made to go with that hot foiling system was, okay, that's not coming up. These butterflies from Pink Fresh Studio. So you come with the hot foil plate and the coordinating dies as well as stamp and stencil. So I went and foiled those onto vellum, which is something that I have seen Kathleen, who is Scattered Confetti, do. And I love the effect. For these, I used a pink or like a pinky purple toned foil, and they're just perfect on this page. As I said, this was taken at the beginning of 2020. I was feeling really good, but I knew that in hindsight now, I had no idea what was about to come. So that's what my journaling is, hidden journaling here. Just talking about, I suppose it's just reflecting on the last few years and what's happened and the toll that it's taken on me and the toll that it's taken on my kids and the toll that it's taken on everyone. But yeah, for that moment in time, life was good. There is definitely a process video for this one. This is brand new, so this process video will have gone up just last week, I believe, using some Pink Fresh goodies that are fairly new. I confess, I had never really purchased or used any Pink Fresh Studio collections or products until I discovered them. I think it was last year when I first started working on my Week in the Life album. Their papers are just gorgeous, and I have become obsessed. I have actually become obsessed. I have gone out of my way to go back and purchase collections that are no longer available from secondhand sellers, and I now have a very, very decent stash of Pink Fresh Studio products, so you can expect to see more of their products in my projects coming up on my channel. But yeah, this one is very recent, process video from just last week, and it's documenting the story of my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. And while I had that same flower market collection out, I went ahead and created this layout. Now this is it is a scrap lift. It's a scrap lift from one of Natalie D'Souza's layouts that she made for Pink Fresh. I loved the circle elements. You saw that I did that on a previous layout. I love that cascading circles. But what Natalie did, which I really loved, was she used a cover plate die or a background die to back some of these circle pieces, which I thought was a really great way to use those dies and a really nice subtle addition to the inside of those circles. So this is documenting the story of my daughter getting her first pair of glasses, bless her little heart. There's a tiny bit of journaling here, but there was a lot more that I wanted to say. It's a sort of a personal message from me to my daughter. As a parent, I felt awful when I learned that her eyesight was really so bad, and we had no idea, and she had no idea. And I started wearing glasses myself when I was quite young, and I had some thoughts and feelings that I wanted to share with her, not now, but when she gets older, about how I felt for her when she got that first pair of glasses, and when we learned that her vision is going to be not great for probably most of her life. So to get that journaling included, I created an envelope, and I will take it off here. Created an envelope using my punch board, and inside here is I suppose, a letter to her, and I've just used a wax seal stamp to adhere it down, and then it's tucked behind that layout. So at some point in the future, when she's older and she's having a look through, she will be able to open that little letter from me to her and just read what I had to say about this event in her life. Again, these ones, there are definitely process videos. These two are brand new. So these were are created for Dearly D's Patreon Pals Sketch Challenge YouTube hop. This is the layout that you saw me make on camera of my little boy. This is a song that I sing to them every night when they go to sleep. And I just wanted to record that for them with a sweet little photo of them asleep in their beds. So I created this one for my son, and then used the same design, the same Rosie Studio collection, but chose different products and created this page for my daughter's album as well. And lucky last, this is actually a 2-page spread. Now I have created this using a cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. Now this is a cloud cut file, but for whatever reason, when I saw it, I had this idea of using it as embellishments around the page. So this is a photo of my kids having a great time in our new pool that we got at the start of this year. And there were lots of other photos that I wanted to include. So for this one, rather than popping them into a pocket, I decided to do a 2-page spread. I am using a Pink Fresh collection here, which is one of their brand new collections. Summer Vibes, is it? I can't recall the name of it off the top of my head, but it's their brand new summer themed collection, really pretty colors. And I have added some extra bright yellow because it sort of ties in with their little vests that they were wearing, just using some stamped pieces around the page there. And that's it. So that's all of the layouts that I've made this year. I have, of course, been working on some Traveler's Notebook spreads. I have done some December daily work, and I have also worked on some Project Life, my monthly Project Life albums as well. So there has been creating going on. I just haven't been doing a lot of sharing on my YouTube channel, but I'm hoping that I can find a little bit more of a groove now in the coming months and have a bit more to share over the rest of the year. So I do hope that you've enjoyed this flip through of these. If you have any questions whatsoever about anything that I've shared, please feel free to go ahead and leave me a comment, and I will do my best to answer it for you. I will leave it there for now and say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.